reversal. One of the things we've spoken of is actually more 6 months ago, I started talking to you about the necessity of monetizing your ministry, making your building make money, finding ways to create income. And how many of you know that your vision is bigger than just tithe and offering? If I have a witness, I need to see your hands about that. If your vision you have in your heart is bigger than the amount of tithe and offerings coming into your house, I want to give you an opportunity to fulfill what God has spoken. I met Dr. White, Dr. Kelvin White, who's now even presently my wife's doctor, and he has come, and he will introduce Dell to you at the appropriate time. But Dr. White is a family physician who works in the clinic I'm a board member over that clinic. And it has been a joy to meet him, but also you should know that he's a Sunday school teacher, functioning like an elder in the house of the Lord, knows God, loves God, understands and knows the word, and can preach the word. Amen. But he is a certified, show enough medical doctor. But I want him to come and give this presentation. Would you open your heart and look at your neighbor and say, "We're about to get rich." I'm sorry. Clap your hands, and please, as he comes.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good afternoon. I'm Kelvin D. White, MD. I'm a product of Morehouse College and Morehouse School of Medicine and Grady Hospital. Been in Atlanta 43 years now and still going. And it's my pleasure to be here with you all today. And fantastic segue from the bishop, as always, but he's very right. And what has happened in Lady Carolyn's life, and I'm a diabetic, what has happened in my life is no short of amazing. And again, as we know, even though we're in the middle of this pandemic, the epidemic that has been going on is cardiovascular disease, and the biggest underlying baseline factor is diabetes. And I was introduced to this technology probably about 4 or 5 years ago when I was department chair there at Southside Medical. And just last year, we finally got it in-house. And the thought that diabetics, 20, 30 plus million pre-diabetics, type 1 diabetics, type 2 diabetics, and the biggest number being type 2, adult onset diabetics. Whether you keep your blood sugar super tight, go to your endocrinologist, do all the things right, take the insulin, take the pills, exercise, keep your weight down, all of that, we know still it leads to the big three: heart attack, stroke, kidney failure. And as you think about this room, which is predominant people of color, is enormous for us. So to think that after you do all this, and here we're in 2021, and we have all these technologies, and we still, the number one killer in the world, bar none, is cardiovascular disease. To think that there's a technology that can reverse that can put us back into the right physiology like we should, is amazing. And so the company, the technology is Diabetic Relief, and the goal is to take a diabetic from being insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. Another way to put that, take sugar, and now that instead of sugar being our enemy, sugar being used in the cell, producing energy and restoring us. And so again, that's why you see decrease in medications, elimination of insulin, increased energy, improved skin, hair, nails, literally kind of a restoration, kind of a moving back type of process in that. And I think, and again, remember, though I'm an MD, I'm a deacon, I'm a worship leader, I'm a Sunday school teacher, that the church should have interplay in that the storehouse should be where this should come from, or the leaders or who we should be talking to as far as members and what we can, an impact we can have. Because let me just depart a minute. One of the men's studies we did, it made a point of when God is working in someone's life, it usually takes 20, 30, 40 plus years for us to get mature enough and have enough testimony to actually be used of God. However, if by that time our health is deteriorated and we die off or so sick that we can't minister or do anything, just at the point where you're seasoned enough for God to use you, you're not healthy enough to be used. So again, this is why, again, I think in this arena is why we're talking about this as well. Let me depart on that a second. I know you all see this little white thing hanging around my neck, and I know you've seen this little black box here. This is the next level of protection for the church. And again, I'm big on Hebrews 10, 24, 25. We should not forsake the meeting of ourselves together. So, and then this pandemic that has split us, separated us, masked us, all them other things that's kept ministry from going on, to think that we have this device, the larger version of this, that kills bacteria, molds, viruses, any kind of, and again, that's flu and any kind of variant that comes thereafter, because it takes a simple kind of process, takes the regular water out of the air, H2 out of the air, oxidizes it, and now sends out killer molecules that destroy all those things that we're trying to vaccine and immune and cover and run from. We don't have to do it anymore. Having this device on your neck, having a smaller unit in your bus, train, small office, having this larger unit in your house, in your church, changes all of that. And it's not just the air. It's the air and every surface in here. And I know there are a couple of units in this room. And again, if any of y'all have worried about not having masks and being too tight and being close to 6 feet, forget it. This is NASA technology. This is one of the few products in the last 75 years that has made NASA Hall of Fame, that has made the space station safe. And understand how clean the space station is. Even when they had plants and things in there that put off their kind of own fumes and things, it would interrupt what's going on, could potentially even kill the astronauts because they're in there breathing that same air. This is what they use to keep themselves safe. And to think, about 18 months, 2 years ago, this has been introduced to the public. Again, it's a no-brainer. For all the things we were worried about running from, thinking we shouldn't be meeting for, gone, okay? And so again, like I said, in this arena, in the church, in the body, to be able to have that. And again, I believe in the sovereign God who gives knowledge of all things, and omniscience in that includes science and technology, that again, we should be leading out, showing our members, introducing to all we know and care about these type of things. Again, we got the pandemic device and we got the epidemic of diabetes. And again, the church incorporating those things. And to go further, we have, and I just think about this edifice here, plenty of space for meetings and worship and organization, education, and for why shouldn't the church itself be not only the storehouse, but even the house of healing, or the house of places that the members come, people in the community come to improve their health. And so again, this to me is the proper setting for that. And so as I've loved spending time getting to know and learn more about the ministry here, and Lady Carolyn and Bishop Johnson. And again, that he would be a little radical, unconventional into what he's presenting and bringing. I think again, this is what should be occurring. This is where it should be happening, and I think again, the time has come. The time has come for this, and I think in no better time either. As we look at what's going on in our world, that again, we got a lost and dying world looking everywhere, asking everyone, trying to elect them, find them, promote them. They have no answers. The answers are here. And so again, I think again, this again presents the best platform for these kind of things to be happening. So let me stop there a minute. I want to see if there are any questions. I'm a Morehouse man. I could talk all day, so I won't. So let me ask some questions about two things. The two things I mentioned: the Air and Surface Pro and the diabetic relief therapy I mentioned. Floor is open. Yes, sir. Okay, good. All right. The diabetic relief program, what they do, we do IV therapy of regular insulin. So it's not snake oil, it's not something new, it's not something in there, just regular insulin. And we do it through an infusion over 2 to 3 hours. And what it does is hooked to a pump. The pump is where all the technology is. It simulates the pancreas mid part of the body in the abdomen, where insulin is secreted and where we keep the proper balance of those things. So over time with this infusion, it takes, again, a person back from being not sensitive to insulin or the use of blood sugar to back to normal where they are. So that's how Lady Carolyn could go to California for 2 weeks, because she had been coming for several weeks. Numbers had come down dramatically, insulin had stopped, and she could be off medicine and still do well. And so that's the goal. And again, it starts initially with more frequent visits, and then as the person gets better, medicine changes, weight goes down, things start improving, then it spreads out. But again, it keeps the body in the right physiology it should. And again, like I mentioned, since the control factor is off, generally what happens, people don't get better over time, they get worse and worse, whether you add more and more medicines. And again, once that damage starts being done, and clearly, from our standpoint, diabetes is a cardiovascular disease. And again, diabetes, cardiovascular disease is the number one killer in the world. And again, your major systems, brain, heart, kidney, once those things are going, once those things are damaged, damage is done. But the amazing part with this, and even in people who, now let me correct that, with this therapy, even people who have had some degree of loss of function is restored. And so again, that's to me what's amazing. That's what's exciting. That's the game changer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So the thought is we need to create these centers, all these places where you all are. Yeah. Now that's the whole part. And this is a 2-part presentation. I'm the medical. I'm the chief medical officer for Comfort Medical Centers and Diabetic Relief. My partner, Dale Pickens, is the CEO. He's a businessman. He's the one that's going to talk about how you do this elsewhere. Yeah. So it's 2 parts. Yes, ma'am.
Will this diabetic relief program treatment work for like a borderline diabetic?
Yeah, so the borderline diabetic or the pre-diabetic. So all of them, whether you're pre-diabetic, type 1, that's like a childhood diabetic who doesn't have enough insulin, or which is really the larger group, the adult onset diabetic, very much so. And actually, the earlier the better, because we see clearly people who are pre-diabetic progress sometimes slowly, but more often very rapidly from this being pre-diabetic to full blown. Give you an example, normal range, and we measure what's called a hemoglobin A1C. Right, that's the average sugar over 3 months we measure on the red blood cells. Normal range between 4.2 and 5.6. The pre-diabetics are the ones at 5.7 to 6.4, and anything over 6.5 is considered diabetes. And we watch someone, a lot of people, they'll stay 5'8", 5'9", 6'1" for a long time. But then unfortunately, and the reason we make them come back in every 3 months, we see many go from a 6.1 to a 10 or a 12 or a 13. And again, if you're not looking, if you're not monitoring, you won't know. And then when you finally do come in, when you're feeling so bad, and you know people say it all the time, I was fine till I went to the doctor. No truth in that. But you just did not know to come, or you were in denial to come, but you should have been coming to make sure.
What do you do for the ones that go like from a 6, I'm a registered nurse. What do you do when they go up to like a 10 or 11?
Again, you do what I'm saying. You start them on the therapy. It's initially it's twice a week for the first 2 weeks, and then weekly thereafter, and then you do the A1C repeat every 12 weeks to see where they are, and depend on how from that's how you judge. But we watched several. It's a young man in particular. When he came in, he was over 500. Right now, he's in the hundreds, and again, way down on medicine. And it took all the 2-3 hours to try to get him into range, to keep him in there. Yeah, it's amazing what it does. Yeah, yes, sir.
Is this program, I guess it sounds kind of, I'm not medically inclined. It sounds cutting edge, so I guess my question is it being done by other companies or other practices, or is this?
Well, diabetic relief. Okay, the pump is the key. They spent millions to develop that. They got the patent on that. So it is used throughout the country and even internationally. But yeah, the whole thing is to grow and have more of these centers and more of these go forward. Yes, and the development that is going on and improvement even of the pump all the time. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. You doing all the things that all of them should be doing, right? The lifestyle changes, yes, ma'am. That's happening, and again, that's great when you have that happen. Personally, that was not my experience, and so a very necessary thing. But yes, ideally that happens, but too often, even with the best efforts, they don't go that way. And again, it's interesting. A lot of people think diabetes is a U.S. thing, but when I spent some time in West Africa, in Liberia and Ghana, I treated as much diabetes and blood pressure there as I did here, and their diet is completely different. Yeah, it's an inherent thing that we have. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Your mother did fantastically. My family with diabetes on both sides of the family have had all of that. Blindness, kidney failure, limb loss, dialysis, heart attacks, heart failure, all of those. And people in my clinic that I see, and Southside is a community health center, the largest in the state, black-owned, and serves some of the sickest people in the state. And again, most times, what we see is the person that I measured their function, blood sugars, liver kidney function in April were fine. In July, they were in full failure. And actually, one gentleman, in the case I remember so well, I called him to give him his labs and tell him to get in and get to the hospital. When I called, his wife answered the phone and said he coded last night and died. And so, I mean, that quickly, that dramatic. And see, those things I see too often. And again, let me just say my little plug here. Please, 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 everyone, get your checkups, do your lab work, find a faithful center to go to and go. And again, Comfort Medical Centers, as we're talking about, and as you mentioned, you're in Florida, this is what we want to see happen in those respective places, in your ministries, as part of the ministry, as part of your churches, to have these type of holistic wellness centers that work on things like diabetes, wellness, fitness, proper nutrition, even proper supplementation. And again, inherent in that will be protection of your facilities. Huh? Oh, okay. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Did I see your hand? Yes. Okay. Covered by insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, all the commercials. It's covered by all of them. Yeah. Covered by all. Yeah. And again, the reason it's covered so easily is diabetes treatment 1, and the base of it is regular insulin. Yeah. And so again, yeah, it reimburses. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's at Kaiser too, I think. Is it right? Yeah. Yeah, but the HMOs pay as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. There's no comparison. And the reason I say that, she said they bought air purifiers for their school. The reason I say no comparison, those are passive systems that when you think about molds and viruses and that kind of thing, these are microscopic. And when we think about COVID-19, super microscopic. So HEPA filters, all those filters, I had an attorney tell me about all these they put in this office they built. They spent $150,000, $200,000. It really didn't help the building because, again, that means all they has to pass through, and you hope the particles are trapped. The Air Surface Pro, what it does is it's sending out the molecules it's literally on a seek and destroy mission, finds them, kills them, and eliminates them. And it's not just air, it's all the surfaces. Because remember, a lot of these particles can live on surfaces for hours. And, even they're talking about now, even, when you go to the gas station, when you go to the ATM, touching all those things, again, it's on there. But again, having that in the classroom, having them in the church, wearing one around your neck, again, kills, it literally, even this little unit, 50 square feet this covers, it literally is putting out the molecules, using the ambient water in the air, oxidizing it, and sending out and killing within a 50 square feet of me here. These are 150. Yeah. I do. Yeah. We'll talk about that. Yes. The large unit here covers 3,000 square feet. Now, I'm gonna say 2,000 to 3,000. It's a company update. If you were in a super dense area, because gyms, sporting events and things that we have a lot of tight packed people, they say 2,000. But if you're talking about a home, a church, or usual business, about 3,000 square feet. Yes, sir. Yes. Well, depending on the size of the house, because again, this is 3,000 square feet. So depending on the size of the house and probably your concept of your house a bit. For example, in my house, I have one in the middle of the house because it's open in the middle and it's open across the stairway up. So literally, it covers those two areas because of where it sits. I have a basement, but now my kids are all gone, my wife and I, so we don't go down there, so we don't worry about that. We put it where we live. But if we were, I would have put an additional one down there. But yeah, it will cover. And again, it does not need to be installed, because someone asked me at some point, well, it needs to be installed so it can get all the way through. Well, what it's going to do, actually, it's going to go in through the returns, and so everywhere areas, it's going anyway. And even you think about your duct systems also are purified as well. Yeah. Yes. Those retail for $1,500. Yeah. Yeah. But now, let me just say as well, your point of contact with this is Bishop Johnson, okay? Yeah. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. No, to be a patient of, or to be a patient of, you just go to a center that does it. And then if you wanted to develop a clinic in a particular area, again, that's where you would get with a company representative and you purchase pumps, get training, and go from there. Right, you have to go to a clinic that's a diabetic relief provider, and they'll take it from there. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes. So no toxins. You weren't. Is it dangerous to be? No. It's perfectly safe. But again, it's literally just taking the water out there and the oxygen molecule. Now it's hydrogen peroxide, and it does its job. So yeah, it's safe. Kids, adults, pets. Yeah, and quite frankly, there's even a little pet unit that they sell as well. That if you had like a cat or dog and had their little litter box, that kind of thing, it's a little pet you plug in right by there. And not only does it eliminate bacteria, molds, and viruses, but the smells as well. And see, even you think about these seats that have fabric and the carpet here, and if you add smells and odors, it eliminates that as well. And again, it's incredible on mold and mildew. Ladies, your showers will be cleaner with one of these in your house, and you won't have to clean them as much because it doesn't let it accumulate. And mold smells overnight, they're gone. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing what it does. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. No. Mm-hmm. Right. The only filter it has on the back of it is a little dust filter that literally you can take out and either vacuum off or use one of those spray can things that you use on a keyboard, put it back in there and go. It really has no parts or maintenance to it at all. Literally, you plug it in, turn it on, it'll adjust up to the square footage that you want to operate in and go. Yeah. And like these are like a little cell phone. It's got a little charger, turn it on and go. And once you charge it, you can use it for several days, no problem. Yeah. And again, also the mobile one is also for buses, vehicles, anything transportation-wise, Uber driver, Lyft drivers. It plugs right into the cigarette lighter and it once it's in its own, and it can be mounted and all that kind of thing. Okay. Yes. It's really for indoor air. You think about it because you can't. That's just vast and it's just open. This is where this kind of thing comes more in hand. It protects you. But think about it as well, though. 90% of our life we spend indoors, and that's the air that you need to be protected. That's where you need to be protected. That's why even as well, as you think about masking and distancing, that's an indoor thing. That's not an outdoor thing per se. I mean, unless you're just jam-packed into an area, but yeah, but indoor air. No, not a secret. I mean, the Velar company has the patent on it, and the Velar company has chosen to make it known to direct marketing versus just being something you go on Amazon and that kind of thing. Yeah, because it changes again. It's a business opportunity. If you just make it just broad, all that goes away, and then you can't control pricing or anything else, distribution, that kind of thing. It's together. It's all part of, and Mr. Pickens is gonna pick up on that. It's all part of it because again, it's in my view, and the thing that caught my attention about this, again, we have been at the front of the pandemic the whole time. We've never closed. We've done testing, vaccinating. We've been out there in it the whole time. And again, it's a health crisis. It's a life and death kind of thing. So again, what I see it as is just another tool to the tool belt, and adds another layer of protection that you wouldn't have otherwise. So it fits the whole mode. And again, literally over half of my day, and I got the busiest clinic at Southside, I'm talking about COVID, and people ask me questions about protection and what can I do. And so again, it's just a very natural thing for me to be a part of that. And again, I think, and again, remember, I got church roots. So for me is that the church keeps functioning and not being hindered. Yeah, so it definitely ties all together. Yes, sir.
How long does it take to sanitize your house?
It's amazing. Very good question. Once you put this in place and plug it in, within an hour, 90% of any of those bacteria, molds, and viruses are eliminated. Within 3 hours is 99.9%. And they say, for example, we talking about this whole surface in here, air and surface. If you put this in overnight, 7-8 hours, it's got it. And the amazing thing, say on this podium, if before this was in here, we took and cultured off of here and put on a petri dish and let it grow, it's gonna look like a pepperoni pizza. It's gonna have stuff all over it. Okay. Put this in place. Come back and culture it. Day 1, no growth. Day 7, no growth. Day 14, no growth. Day 28, no growth. And that's if we turned it on, let it do it, sanitize, and then shut it off. So again, those molecules stay on those surfaces and keep them protected. And what's recommended is 24/7. You just leave it on, and the reason you would leave it on, it doesn't take as much as a 43-watt light bulb. It's no real pull on the power bill. So why wouldn't you want to be protected? So you plug it and let it go. And again, when I leave out, when I go around, I put it on and keep going. Yeah. Well, I'm going to let Mr. Pickens come and speak to you about what this looks like as an opportunity, what this looks like in your churches. And so we can get it to Florida as soon as possible. Yes, sir. Sure. Uh-huh. Well, now you go into a whole different arena there as far as the government and why. So you way over my pay grade there. Well, that's a whole philosophical conversation we'll have on the side. Okay. I feel you all day, but yeah, we can talk about it in so many areas as far as that goes. Yeah. Mr. Pickens. Mr. Pickens is my business partner. He's the CEO of Comfort Medical Centers, and he has a wealth of information as far as finance and futures. So hear him well.
Thank you. Y'all give Dr. White a hand, please. He called himself the CMO, but years back when we met, and I'll give you a little back history of myself, but when I met Dr. White, God identified him as a minister of health. And I told him, I said, we're going to do some things together, but I need someone who has the heart of God and wants to serve God's people. And throughout the years, he's been consistent in helping us unravel how to help the body become healthy, because that's the true epidemic or situation that we're dealing with. It's not so much as COVID or the flu or any of these things. It's bigger than that. So, and I love that question. Myself, a little bit about me. Country boy from South Carolina. Grew up in the church, loved God. Had a lot of issues with systems early on. Baptized at an early age. I come from a Pentecostal background, so we tarried, and I spent my life in church, which was fun. That was my party. I remember December 31st of 1989, I was 17. And I walked into the church, and the prophet was at the front door. He said, hey, he came over, he called me, he's like, so what's your New Year's resolution? I was like, I don't know, I'm not really sure. But at that point in my life, was in high school, playing sports, doing my thing, but I'd been in church all my life. So I felt like I had one foot in and one foot out because I wasn't complete. So I thought about it and I challenged God. I said, you know what? If you don't bless me with your spirit by the end of the month, then I'm going out and I'm going to give Satan 100% of me. And that probably sounds crazy, but me and God has that kind of relationship, thankfully. We can talk like we real. So that whole month I didn't go to Taryn service or anything. I just moved throughout the day and everything. But the last day of the month, it was a weird day for me. So I went to school. I was just out of sorts. And that night I went to service and I was sitting there, and within minutes of sitting there, God blessed me with his spirit in such a way that it was this life-changing. So after that, he started dealing with me immediately about, I had people talk about ministry and different things, and I wasn't interested. I'm like, because the church for me was supposed to be a safe haven, a storehouse, and according to what I was reading, although young, it was supposed to be a place where we came to have all of our needs met. And so moving forward, my life changed at the turn of the century at 2000. Early on, background is real estate and finance early in my life. 2000, I went through divorce, which allowed me to go into a depression state that put me enclosed in my house so that I could hear from God. And at that point, he started dealing with me with unraveling the system as we know it, i.e. the government, finance, and a lot of things that we had been taught that I saw the church patterning after. And so from 2000, divorce, 2002, I lost my mother, 47 years old, fine one day, gone the next. 2003, locked up because, 2001 locked up because my business partner tried to rip my mom off with her house. It was interesting. 2002, she passed. 2004, I was playing basketball, but I had a doctor's appointment the following day. I was an athlete in school. I went into a routine colonoscopy February of 2004. Not sick, not hurting, nothing. They woke me up after the surgery and wanted to take me, the colonoscopy wanted me to go into emergency surgery, said I had colon cancer. I was like, how do I get colon cancer? It's not, my family's history is diabetes and other things, but cancer wasn't one of them, so it struck me. I was like, man, I can't do this. So I told him, I said, well, my birthday is March 1st. I'll come back March 2nd because I'm not getting cut before my birthday and dying. They thought I was crazy, but I was like, well, I just can't do it. From March 04 to December 2017, I had 63 major surgeries. Not because of cancer, but they went in and a lot of malpractices happened during that course of time, which I didn't realize was malpractice because I was more concerned with trying to live. 13 blood transfusions in 11 months, over 20 outpatient surgeries, all within this period of time. And, I stand here today and thank God that through all of that, He gave me purpose to a calling, and that's to help, for one, help the body of Christ become united and help bring value and benefits into the body. And then this whole health initiative became personal to me because of what I went through myself. So in partnering with Dr. White, our other partner, Sammy Rice, and some others, we started working on developing first a nutraceutical line that will enable us to start taking nutraceuticals instead of pharmaceuticals, because I went from 0 medications to 8 medications in 3 months. And I wasn't sick. And so to be at the peak of your life and health to where I couldn't walk from here to the back door and not be winded was crazy. Wasn't overweight, none of that. I was healthy, ate as good as I knew to eat. Because of diabetes, my mom had us eating properly at an early age. But then I started understanding and realizing that your food is not, it's not about exactly what you eat, but sourcing your food. He mentioned about the government, poisons and pesticides and different things that they put on our food, gets in our system, helps us to become sick. Over 97% of all sickness comes from what we eat. So as the young lady there mentioned about changing her diet and eating a certain way, that's where it starts. So we integrate a lot of those things into what we call storefront ministries. The nutraceutical company is a franchise that God instructed us years ago to set these things up for the church. We've had offers of millions of dollars to sell certain things, certain technologies, but it's about building the body of Christ so that we can own these technologies or these practices and enhance and build upon that throughout the kingdom. And meeting with Bishop Johnson and his wife, and understanding we were on the same page and had a heart to help the people, I feel that it is a disservice for all of the things to be in place that they're making money off of hand and fist. And we are on the tail end of it as the children of God. We talk about, and as we talked about kingdom building, the bishop was saying, it's time for something different. We can no longer want to participate in something. We have to start thinking about and owning certain mountains. We call them the mountains of influence or mountains of culture. We have to take back the land. Our brother mentioned earlier about Moses and the comparison to Joshua. And his instructions to Joshua was take it back. So in using those ideologies, we've developed systems that can help put us into the marketplace to when we reap these benefits. For instance, Comfort Medical is a practice model where we use as much holistic practices as possible to aid and help the body in its totality so that we can become healthy. So if we're healthy, then we can go out here and do God's work and prosper. Now, with that, we help each church or whatever the establishment, and we decided to only make this available to the church or through the church, so you can turn your place into a center where your people can benefit from it through a membership and get reduced pricing. And then you can also create a situation where the whole community in which you live, city, town, community, whatever you want to call it, has to come to you to get this technology. Because we're in a position where being that it's in the forefront, we can position ourselves today versus way down the road and just be a recipient of those things. Comfort Medical, it allows for us to come in and help you with working to establish where you position that facility, whether on site of your church or not, secure the land, secure the building, whatever it takes, and then put the people in place to manage it for you. Not everyone has doctors or nurses within their congregation, possibly, but we encourage you to go within first to see who can work those jobs. And then the return on investment is amazing. For those of you who are understanding money, typically, if you can get into a position where you can make 10, 15% return on investment, you're doing great. That's a lot of money. I don't consider that kingdom building money. It's just play money. It's nice, but it's not really enough to let us do what we want to do, because we want to see the church become a place where the members' homes are paid for, their medical is taken care of, their food is grown with a farm that's connected to the church, because every church, somebody in the community, and each church has an acre or two that we can produce quality food on with organic seeds and not use pesticides or poisons, and produce enough food not only for the congregation but for the community as well. We have to take back and become the supplier of these resources, or we're going to continue to be the borrower and never become the lender. And that's what we're called to do, is be the lender. And we hear these things and it sounds really good and we shout about it and we run around the church about it, but what are the actual applications to make this happen is what we've honed in on and identified and understand from our background of banking and finance, real estate, and medicine and different things. So we got a group of people, ministers of God, to come together and put these things in place to create storefront ministries, is what we call them. So our objective is to show you how to build from a kingdom perspective, not traditional finance or real estate that keeps us chasing, but puts us in position to lead. So for Comfort Medical, average investment to establish a practice, and again, this is average, it depends on what you have in position, if you have a building, if you don't, different things and different variables. It's about a $300,000 investment. Well, the return on that investment within the first year is about 44%, which is nice. Like, that's a great start. And I have all the numbers, and what we're going to do once we get the names of whoever wants or interested, we're going to set up Zoom calls and share the numbers line by line and show you how this actually works. So we have the applications to everything that we're discussing today. That's year one, 44% on average. Nice. And we could stop there if we were more concerned with our pockets, but year two, it jumps up to about 60%, and then it continues to grow, and it balances out about 70, 72% return on investment by the time you get into year three and year four. Phenomenal. But here's the best part. When you go from return on investment to return on giving, because the Bible says if you give, it should be given unto you. So I'm more concerned with how you position the next person. As Bishop has brought you all here today, it's so that he can share the wealth with each and every one, and they grow. So one of the numbers that we build on is number 12. We love it. It's a network number that we use in a lot of our formulas. As this brother here tells her about it, and she opens a practice in her perspective area, or the other side of town, or whatever the case may be, from everything that she generates, you make 10% of, which is what we consider a tithing principle. As you build practices by sharing this word and sharing this ministry with others, it affords you the opportunity to take those returns up to about 400% return on the same investment. Never put any more money in, allowing it to do what it does. As Dr. White mentioned, diabetes is one of the things that we focus on because the numbers are consistent across the world. It's not nothing that's just something that's only a problem here in Atlanta or other small towns or cities or whatever. It's global. So that right there helps for one. Basic health principles, IV therapy, the nutraceutical line, those things all combined in one. It puts you in a position of a franchisee, if that makes sense, wherein you make returns on money that you don't even have to work for, essentially. That's the beauty and the blessing of that particular component and how it works. We have banking models, we have farm models, we have housing formulas. We're working, which our brother Sammy here is spearheading. In Guyana, we have a mortgage program that's a 7-year mortgage, no interest involved. Because this whole system of usury that you can go buy a car for $100,000. They will not give you 30 years on it. You can pay it off in 7 years, 8 years. Why don't we do that with housing? Why are we subjecting ourselves to 30-year mortgages on something that we can pay off in a shorter period of time? Because their banking principles are not set up for us to win. But as we become the banker, the lender, and position ourselves in a different way and use a different formula to do that, then our wealth can just, it can move and move and move. But, the Bible says with this, and I'm going to leave it at this, one can put 1,000, two can put 10,000 a flight. If we look at what we have in this room alone and come together and strategically position ourselves, we can go to any bank and rob them legally. Legally. It's just knowing how to position yourself. And I can I can talk for days about this, but the last thing I want to say is positioning. Most organizations, churches, are established as a 501c, which we understand as a nonprofit organization. However, as a 501c, you're still a corporation of the state. They can come in and tell you what to do, how to do it. God is not your head in that position. As a 508c, we put you in a whole different category, which is a trust, and teach you how to acquire and protect the house of God, your personal property, your children, your estates, because the only way to get to true wealth is to understand positioning first, and then from that, understand how to utilize the system for our gain, because this is our place. This is ours. This is ours. We're here to have dominion. But so until we decide to conquer and to take back those things, we're going to continue to chase, hope, pray, wish. But as Bishop has established here, it's time to do something. So again, for those that are interested in speaking, we're here to serve, called to serve. So we're here to, we're open to Bishop and to any one of you that's here. The Valera information, he wants us to make sure that we position everyone where you can become a wholesaler of the product and benefit from the financial gains of this, so you don't have to worry about retail pricing. The price points Dr. White talked about are retail. We want to put you in a position at no cost to where you can use us and build in anywhere you are. It doesn't matter if you're in the States, out of different countries, it doesn't matter. And you can use us to first protect your place. As you see, I wear it here. My family, they have it in their cars. They have personal devices. We have it in the homes. And then sell this in your prospective communities. However you see fit, we can help you in any way you want. If you don't need any help, that's fine too. But can show you how this can be a blessing and a benefit for no money out of pocket and start making money off of that. If you want to get into Comfort Medical, understanding banking, trust, whatever the case may be, whether one-on-one, however it's set up, we'll work through Bishop and figure out what's the best way to do it. We're here to help and be of service to you all. If there's any questions, I can take those. I don't want to take up too much time because I too can get long-winded because this is what I love to do. We do it every day. And I just thank God for the time that he's given us to take and understand these things so that we can be a blessing to the body. Yes, sir.
How long have you all been, how long has this model, franchise?
Business individually, I went to work for myself in '94 and been in business with God, I say, since then. Coming together in different components and businesses, 30 years in some and 5, 6 years in others, but we've been working together on this medical model for about 4 years now. 2 years prior to that, we started working on the developing the products for the nutraceutical line and working with formulators and a whole conglomerate of people to get those things in a way that we could use it in the doctor's practices. But then, it took time to get that development in place and a lot of, to get those structures together. The technology with Valera, I want to say it's about 10 years old. We got involved about 2 years ago. With that technology was privy to being a setting, and as the brother said, things like this that can help people, you don't really hear about it, or we tend to get it last a lot of times, too. So, but yes, for quite some time, and we've got some. We've worked on the model to protect the church and to structure the church. I spent 12 years studying. Fortunately, when I went through my medical issues, I was down, so I was able to study and study and study, got with some like-minded people, and really unravel the way to implement the Word of God into real-life practices. Because reading it and hoping this wasn't working for us, so we went through the fire and tried some things and figured out how to make it work, and it works. Sure.
From the ROI that you mentioned from the franchise model itself?
Both. And I say that twofold because we've tried it and those are actual. But when we get into your location, there may be some fluctuations. That's why I said 40% average. But you can expect 35 to 450 percentage, depending on if you really depend on if you follow the model or if you don't, to be honest. But the numbers are actually there. And on top of that, we secure your investment through money market accounts and different things to leverage against the bank in ways that that's our money sitting there. So we understand how to go take it to benefit this cause. So we can guarantee those.
Second part, how many franchises do you have currently, and are there exclusive geographical territories?
Right. So there's 4 or 5 franchises. What we've done is taken people of interest and allowed them to get on board, and we've gone through a training process. Territories we have not identified because we're not at the number where it has become a problem, because we're in the early stages of putting it out. So we've just done test markets to date. So you're at a ground floor with that as far as the opportunity. There's no saturation or anything of that sort. Some of the things like diabetic relief is probably the most popular. It originated in California, went to Texas, but less than 100 practices, I would say, in the U.S. at this point, give or take. Give or take. Yes. A little louder, sir. I'm sorry. For the Comfort Medical model, about $300,000, and we can reach that in a couple of different ways. It doesn't have to be a cash infusion. Again, we can utilize credit. We can leverage some situations off of the credit that we've established because we'll partner with you if we need to go into the bank to create the right situation for them to say yes. I was a commercial underwriter for about 8 years, so gladly they gave me the wherewithal to understand how to go in there and get what we need. So we use that information to benefit us now that they used to use against us. Anyone else? Great. Thank you for your time, Bishop.
So what we've done is begun to introduce to you opportunities. And obviously, those of you who have interest would need to let us know that so that they could have those personal, eye-to-eye, transparency, openness, what this really entail. Obviously, we want that. And for me, it's credibility on the line because I'm the one presenting it to you or bringing this to you. So we want, and we will have complete transparency So those of you who are thinking, you know what, if I could find a way to take the ministry I have and create a service or product or product that would greatly increase the revenue of the house, this is an incredible way to do it. We have already started. We're in our infant stages. I'm very excited about the possibilities of, if for no other reason, if I eliminate all the other things that are available which you did not go through. You can talk about IV, this terminology where people are serving their health through intravenous nutrients. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about, nurse? Help me here. When they're giving them B12 injections and on. Not even to mention erectile dysfunction. Oh my God. What the nation is paying for those kinds of things would be made available through the health model. And the health model would be developed out of or through your ministry. Many possibilities, whether you're using your property to construct or whether you're getting property elsewhere. But there's an opportunity for that to happen. I presented this because I want to open your imagination and allow you to research. By the way, this is not USA specific. It is global. I wish I could tell you we're the first to ever do this. It's not. We're not. And many local churches have figured out, okay, we need to figure out how do we produce, how do we generate revenue above and beyond tithe and offerings. And are we going to diminish tithe and offerings? Not in the least. But we do have opportunities. How many of you own your own property or at least the bank? How many of you are attached to your own property? Let me see your hands. That's most of you. I know one of the pastors over here just getting ready to purchase what they have been leasing. A tremendous opportunity has come open for them. I know I was talking to Pastor Todd about this during COVID. They started using their building as a location for funerals because the funeral homes were over. They were overwhelmed. And he has to tell you alone what happened as a result of that and what's happening even now. There are so many opportunities that are opening up to us that will lead us into the future that you can profit. And the time has come when we stop being shy about talking about money. Are you pleased? Would you please tell me amen? We've got to deal with that. We must deal with it. And there's another thing that's important, that every one of us who lead the people of God have got to become not only debt-free, but financially, I use the word financially independent. Can anybody agree with me about what I'm saying? But if you only relegate yourself to the ministry alone, it's very difficult for that to happen. But that's because we've been locked into a pastoral model of North America, which is actually not completely biblical. It's a new day. And, oh my God, talk about your leadership is when you're leading from a financial strength. Would you say it one more time? I don't think so. As we get ready to go, 3 years ago, when I started really seriously thinking about this, we started doing. We're not through the renovations. This is the last part of it actually, and we have not started in here yet. But the property, I was about to sell it. In fact, the deal was on the table. I was ready to sell it. I think it was like $6. Is Neil here? He could tell me exactly. I think it was $6.5 million. We were going to sell it, and I was going to go somewhere else and do something different. And the thing was all lined up, and the company that is buying up all down this street was buying these old homes and renovating, and they wanted our property. And I was thinking, you know what? Boy, our debt would be gone. Bam! We could have money to rebuild and relocate. And I got 48 hours from signing that. So, those of you who remember Dallas Smith, Dallas is the one who found this property And he's also was the one that was moving it to sell it. He was my real estate broker. He loved God, and he was sitting there talking about, we can make this happen. I said, okay, let's go. And I'm at home, and I can't sleep. And that's not a situation for me. And I'm so disturbed. I jump up, and I said, what? And the Lord said to me, go back and listen to the word that I prophesied to you through Phil Capuccio at the beginning of the year. It was somewhere in the 3 quarters of the year had gone. He'd go back to January and replay the words I prophesied to you. So I go back and I dig it up, and Dave sends me the prophecy. I listen to the prophecy, and the man of God is prophesying, talking about, Bishop, I see the Lord. He said, I'm going to. And everything he named was from this property. That the future was from this property, which is, we've been on this property 20-some years. And when we moved here, they tried to buy, the Jewish community wanted to buy this and give me $6 million, I think $8 million, to build a Jewish center. And it was like, no. This deal is on the table. The Lord essentially said, don't you move. I go back to Dallas. I say, Dallas, I can't do this. He looks at me. I said, I don't have peace. And I told him the sequence of what happened. Then Dallas goes, you know, Bishop, you have a lot invested in this property, and I don't really know why you want to sell the place. What Negro? Why were you trying to work the deal? You know, I mean, So, and he's going, my people are going, thank you, Jesus. 1 week later, an Arab walks on the property, says, I'll give you $6 million today cash for this building. Excuse me, I'll give you $8 million right now cash for this building. Walked on this property from the Middle East. He says, I'm buying the next 2 pieces of property next door, and I want this one too. I'll give you cash today. You a lying devil. Anyway, I said, oh my God. So I backed up. Now, how long ago was that? That was like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago when we got that offer. 3 months ago, Neil Thomas goes down to the state to look at the records to see the value of this property. I'm not going to tell you because you'd be mad at me if I tell you how much this property is worth. And even worth more with the building torn down. I'll just tell you it's double digits in the millions. And the Lord said, when I said no, I said no for a reason. So we're sitting on, literally. So we started monetizing it. We are a partnership with Atlanta Public Schools, not charter schools, Atlanta Public Schools. That alone is a miracle. That's who's parking out here. That's who's picking up kids. They basically pay the mortgage, as well as the almost $300,000 or more, actually, they dumped into the building to make their thing work, to renovate. We're sharing dual space. They don't own it. We own it. They lease. It's been now 4 years. They now have come back and said, we need to rent your property for another 2 years. And that rental price is at the premium top rental price. And they're willing to pay it. In fact, they love us so much, they say, oh, we just love being here. You know, so much. It's wonderful. Thank you, Jesus. In fact, I'm getting them to, exactly. And not to mention the partnership that we're going to work so we can, there's much to be done here. This building is 60 years old plus. Redoing the parking lot, landscaping, all this. This is will be totally redone. The point is that money is flowing now. We have we park cars. They pay us to park during the week. Well, I ain't parking during the week. I have one space. They can take all the rest of them. You understand what I'm saying? And now the movie industry has now find out that we're here. So we will have 2 or 3 times a year. Where's T? She's outside. 2 or 3 times a year, they pay us to use this property as a campground for shooting movies. And they keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and the price keeps doing this. It's amazing. We just had Xfinity. Tell me about Xfinity. No, Amazon. Amazon wants to house their robotic delivery system on the property. The deal's already done. So they'll have a little mechanism, the robots go inside, and and then when a package is delivered, they come out, the little robots come out and go down the street and deliver packages. We are psyched. I was trying to get that television tower. You understand what I'm saying? I was trying. In fact, I just missed that. I just missed that phone tower. You understand what I'm saying? They put it there and they just pay you every month. And when the Lord said monetize, we began to look for opportunities, and then actually they've now started to look for us. But I wasn't even thinking that way. I wasn't thinking that way. I should have been, but I wasn't. And more to come. So I'll say to you, that's just the property itself. When we get through renovating, every video shooter in the city will want to use this. Every small theater the theater companies have a problem. In fact, we have a serious deficit in the city with places to house plays, and they look for places. In fact, even to do, believe it or not, graduations. It's amazing. We're also partnered with across the street is Callan Wall, which is Coca-Cola's old mansion, the original Coca-Cola family company. Their original mansion is across the street. Now it's an arts center. And he called me, what it was last year, he said, man, I cannot tell you how grateful I am for you guys. If we weren't for you all, we probably couldn't exist because we depend on contributions. And the contributions are based on our presentations. But we don't have the space to park our people. And you guys, it's your parking lot that houses the donors that allow, so, anything we want over there, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And on and on. In fact, the vision going forward is not a Metro City Church. It's Metro City Center, the place, the home of Metro City Church. Do you understand the difference? Because the church has left the building. Would you clap your hands and say amen? I mean, the church has left the building. This is the building, not the church. And so that is in process as we go forward. And then I meet Dr. White, and I'm saying, oh, no. And then I'm thinking now, with the introduction, by the way, I'm sorry, there he is. Your question is an important question. It has a lot bigger, longer answer. He didn't tell you, it's either Eckert's or name me a grocery chain that is, say it again. Is it Walgreens that bought this units? 20, say it so they can hear that.
Walgreens purchased 20,000 units?
Yeah, in the country. Of that unit right there. Yeah. Also, surgical rooms are now using this technology. Yeah, to use it, to purify their buildings. Did you want to say something else? Because you guys got all these facts. I'm a novice.
Cleveland Clinic has them in the surgical rooms. The Cleveland Clinic has them in their surgical rooms because it eradicates staph.
Wow.
That's great operations. Yeah.
Say it again. She's got this.
The second hospital in the United States. No, it's the world. Sorry. The Cleveland Clinic is the second highest rated. Mayo is above them. Cleveland Clinic is second.
That's amazing. So it is no joke what's been happening. Why the Lord would put this in my lap? Because of you and because of the people you know. Because it's the body of Christ. Because he wants us to be those who have the wealth to do what needs to be done for the influence of God's kingdom. Do you understand that, saints? Now, and I'll have to tell you this as I seriously close. During the years, the Lord has put certain things in our hands. I remember the last gentleman, not the last gentleman. This was 10, almost 20 years ago, when a brother came in to try to help us to leverage the equity that had been created by the house of God. And he came recommended by an apostolic gift that had great credibility. And I said, well, yeah, I want to know about it. So the brother comes in and he starts to helping members take the equity in their homes and use it to generate more equity and more income. And then discovered that the brother was he was fraudulent. You cannot know how devastating it was that I allowed, because I'm the guy that said this guy could come, so he did it. And when he was found out, we finally went to him. It was actually a major scandal here in Atlanta because I wasn't the only pastor, it was other pastors too. Even though it was noble what we were trying to do, the people that got hurt were the people that leveraged their homes. When it was determined who he was, the Lord allowed me a window to go to him, and I did. I went to him and I said, sir, you will return the money, or you are going to jail. He wouldn't listen to me. But I spoke to him like Paul spoke to that woman prophesying. And he is in jail to this very day. It's probably more now. It's got to be 15, almost 20 years. He's still in there because he touched the people of God, touched their money. And but it created such a pain. Darius, man. So when you were doing your thing today, it was opening up the wound of being the guy whose influence caused people a lot of pain. And so I wasn't bringing anything to the people of God, even though there were things that were really awesome, incredible, because I didn't want this, yeah. I'm telling you that because the Lord had to begin to heal my heart about it. So I'll tell you, I'm out here again before you, and yes, together we'll look at it. Those of you who have interest, how do we do that, sweetheart? How do we determine who has interest? How do we do that? Is there anything we can? Well, we need a list. That's what we start with. Okay. Those of you who want to know more, you want to hear more, just let us know you want to know more, and he will be open, both of them, in fact, will be open to have a further discussion as to how this can help you. You have heard two things, and the two things are related. You were perceptive to see that. Valara, which is the company that produces the units, and then also the medical plan that every single house can have operating from there. Yeah. Say it again, sweetheart. God be with you. God bless you. Have a great evening. We'll see you tonight. What time, sweetheart? 7:30.